Hello and welcome. This is Potatoes, and today I have something really new for you. It's pretty much something along the lines of my game discussion with Layton video, but today I actually have a guest, and his name is TwinHumanities. Just like introduce yourself, I don't know.
Hey guys, I'm TwinHumanities. I run a YouTube channel based around Dark Souls, and we're just kind of discussing how video games are kind of watered down nowadays. At least that's what I'm going to be going for. If yeah, that's what you're going for.
Yeah, I think so as well. So, like, the both of us really love Dark Souls. Like, we played it a lot. I think over 100 hours or something, like added up together.
I'm like 500 hours.
Oh,
It's the only
really?
game I have right now. Yeah, I'll flip around and I'll sell games, but yeah, that's
Oh, crazy. But so I think what we want to start off with is just like some kind of love letter to Dark Souls, what we like about it, why it's such a great game, and maybe you can just like start and say something about it. Why do you like Dark Souls so much?
that's easy. Um, Overall, I think it's because you can kind of create your own story. Like right now, I'm actually running as Solaire in the game. I glitched the armor set, didn't cheat other than that, and literally just ran through the game playing as him, sticking to his move set, and it you kind of just build your own story. Then there's nothing really like thrown at you. There's nothing that's like, oh, this is you need to go to point A to point B. You just get like, oh, you need to go ring a bell and it does something. That's really all you get handed with right out of the gate. So it's just so different, but in the same sense, it gives you so much freedom to kind of adapt and take it for how it is in your own head.
Yeah, like I would agree with that. Like I just love how pretty much once you get to Lordran, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. Like as you said, he just tells you there's two bells. Like there's one somewhere at some low place and one at some high place, and from that point on, like he doesn't really explain to you what you have to do. It's just like, well, there's like stuff in a bunch of places. I don't know, like just figure it out yourself, and
Exactly.
it's just really cool because like another thing I really like, while some people would pretty much argue that this is something bad, like I love how Dark Souls doesn't really tell you the story. Like it's just like I don't know, you have to figure all out by yourself, just like looking at item descriptions and all that. And I think that really makes it interesting. So I don't know, like if you want to get into the story, you can fucking get into the story, and you don't have to like watch I don't know like 30-minute cutscenes like in Metal Gear Solid or something to then figure out the story. It's just like you can play it with your own pace and do whatever you want.
I agree completely. Let's see. Another thing I think we can really look at is like if I'm big into survival horror games. Like I play Amnesia, I've played the older Resident Evils,
Yeah,
Silent Hill, and that kind of thing.
yeah, me
And
too.
as of late, I don't think I've yeah, right? They're awesome. As of late, I haven't gotten that sense of like, oh shit, I'm gonna die kind of feeling out of anything. It's kind of what's a good way? Resident Evil 5 did it good. In the beginning, it was scary, it was slow paced, and it kind of just kind of irked you. And then eventually, it got like Hollywood movie. But in Dark Souls, every single time I play it, like if I go to the catacombs when the darker areas, I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, every 5 seconds because I don't know what's coming, and if I can't see, if I don't have like the sunlight maggot helm's one of the items you can use, or cast light as a spell, or holding like a lantern, it's something that can jump out at you and kill you, and you know you can't really handle it that well. And like in the depths, there's actually an enemy that can petrify the lizards. And I remember my first playthrough, I was literally like screaming, trying to like run from these things because I didn't understand it. And like dying from petrification overall is just like the worst thing that can happen to you in the game. So I I get more horror from this game that isn't classified as survival horror than I do from games that are classified as survival horror.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned like Resident Evil 5 being really good in the beginning, like in terms of horror. And I would agree with that because like in the beginning you don't know what the fuck is going on. Like you see people just like running around somewhere in the distance and you're like, "Hey, what the hell is going on?" And I think that really builds up an intense like atmosphere. But then all of a sudden, like I don't know, 1 or 2 hours into the game, it just becomes this like I don't know, there's 500 dudes running at you, just shoot at them and then you can just move on. I don't know. And the cool thing about like the catacombs, like you mentioned, is really that, I don't know, like with every step that you take, you just expect to die in like the next second or something. And that really just like gets you so sucked into the game. You're so immersed. And I just really love that feeling because like in, well, most of the horror games that come out today, you don't really feel this scare of just like dying and then losing all your progress. It's just that you're more scared of the fact that you can be scared, that you maybe like, I don't know, shriek or something, but it's not really like connected to any real loss. Well, in Dark Souls, you really like, you just don't want to lose your fucking souls.
Oh my god. I'm with you.
And I don't know, like, I just love how you, in Dark Souls, you always have to think about what you're doing. So it's not just this, like, I don't know, lay down, put Dark Souls in and just play for a bit. You really have to sit there and think about what you're doing, like when to attack, how to approach enemies. Like, I don't know, just it's so simple in what it's doing, but you have to be so careful about everything.
Yeah, it's always difficult no matter how good you are as a player.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, today I was recording for my Let's Play of Dark Souls, and unfortunately the recording got fucked up and I had to do it all over again. But like the Capra Demon, I fought it like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times maybe. And like I was always somewhat good at it, but then like it just completely destroyed me like 5 times in a row. And like I couldn't do anything. And I think that's all, like really cool because usually when you have some boss fight like in, I don't know, Super Mario or something, and you just you've done it before, it's always like the same pattern and you can just do it again and it's no problem.
No, I agree with you. I actually was playing Capra earlier this morning, and I got knocked out pretty bad by the dogs, and I had probably like half health, and Capra got one good hit on me, and I knocked into a red tear stone ring. So I'm like, oh, so I dropped down and one hitted him. I was like, yeah, on my first try. So that it gives you a good sense of feeling too. Like I feel more accomplished every time I play this game, even though I played it through like hundreds of times.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
maybe even from this point on we can go to like the world. This is also something that I noted down to talk about. Because like you just said that you just feel so great when you just like achieve some victory. And I think what adds to that is just like the world and all the enemies. They're so odd, absurd, and like just huge. So for example, when you first of all, when you like first land in Anor Londo, like on the top of that little platform, I don't know, you
Yeah.
just look down at the city and it's just fucking huge, and you think like, how in the hell am I supposed to just, I don't know, cope with all that? Like, what's it gonna throw at me? And like the first enemy you face is some giant with a huge axe, and
No.
I just love how then once you beat Anor Londo, you're like, oh yeah, fuck man, I'm the greatest guy in the world. Like seriously, I just took down all of those assholes and I'm just good to go.
Oh, no, I was happy halfway through Anor Londo. The moment I got past the fucking two sniper dudes with the Dragon Slayer bows,
Yeah.
oh my god.
And that's
Uh,
really cool as well. Like I think, yeah, first of all, you step on this little pathway up to the like middle portion of that section. I don't know, that tower where you can just like have this little ledge around.
yeah.
And like before you get there, they start shooting at you, but they won't hit you because on that like way up there, there's like this little fence, so it just hits the fence and not you.
Hmm.
And like you just see like this huge ass arrow that they shot at you, and you're like, what? and
They're shooting spears, man. I'm gonna die.
and like before you actually die to them, the game tells you that Like those are serious dudes. Like they can fuck you up really bad, and then you can just like to it and prepare for just like encountering them.
Absolutely.
That's just really cool. And like a while ago, you said how it's always a challenge. I think that's also like it's so true. And even with the new game plus, so like the game getting more difficult, like playing it over again, that's also cool. Because you don't just have to start some new game and just do that. You can if you want to, but you can just do the same thing with your old character and be good to go. And it's even more of a challenge then.
Exactly, because you have to plan out your character more accordingly.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. I'd like to talk about the online elements. Like,
Oh
a thing
yeah,
I like about it is everything's like separated now. Like, if you hop on a Call of Duty, it literally throws in your face that it's separated. They have three squares for like Spec Ops, campaign, and multiplayer. So it's in all those different categories. And like my friends typically will go to like midnight releases for Call of Duty, and they're all like, "Oh, we're hopping on multiplayer first," and it's the exact same thing we have been doing. So I don't understand getting better standings over playing a campaign for a game I just played. But Dark Souls kind of adapted to that, and they made it so it the multiplayer aspect is there and it makes sense, but it doesn't hinder the player from getting that single player experience. If anything, it adds to the depth of it, and they put it in a way where playing multiplayer makes sense. You're invading someone else's like separate kind of like not dimension, but world adjacent to yours, and either helping or hindering them as a player, or helping them with like the orange soapstone. Like those little elements that they threw in really surprised me. And they made the game that much better, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
yeah. I know what you mean. And like, if you're not the multiplayer type guy, and you just want to like play little what am I saying? Single player, like you get kind of introduced to the whole like multiplayer world by just having these features. Like for example, I think an even better example for having all these separate parts than Call of Duty is actually Battlefield 3. Like for the Xbox, it's two separate discs. It's like single player and
Yeah.
multiplayer, and that's just so dumb because I don't know, like it doesn't really just it's not like one game. It's like you have two separate games and they all play differently. Like the single player is really short and boring, and I don't know. And I think like what Dark Souls did is really just have some kind of like new dimension in terms of gameplay. It's not just single player, it's not just multiplayer, it's like some combined thing, and it really makes fun, and it makes sense like you said. And like the way you are introduced to the whole mechanic is also very nice, like by having these messages and then having people tell you, well, you can like fight other guys. That's just really cool, I think.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other notes? Because like my notes for Dark Souls are totally like run
Yeah.
out.
I don't know. The last thing I want to say is I haven't ever really gone for Gravekeeper servants or Gravelord servants. I think that's what the Covenant's called. I
Yeah.
was watching a video yesterday, and it like I played this game for 6 months now, and there's like it's small, but there's a way of summoning. It's a Gravelord servant summoning, and it's like a completely different language on the floor, and it works in a completely different way. And I'm like, holy shit! Like I can't even tell you how much I played the game, and there's still things I don't like know. I don't even understand how they work. Like that surprised me.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
even like one thing we can now just like we don't have to talk about too much, but you probably know about the pendant, right?
Yeah.
Like how nobody knows what's up with that. And I think that's so cool and funny. Like, I don't know, they put something in the game that nobody has figured out yet, and that they hopefully. I think, like, I read something, or I think Epic Name Bro, like, he has a bunch of lore videos, and I
I've
know
watched them
you know
all.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I think he also mentions how some developer of the game said that he is never going to reveal it. Like, people have to find out themselves. And I think it's so cool. Like, people get so engaged with, like, finding out stuff about Dark Souls. Like, even I, like, during, I don't know, like, the last few hours of the game, I was so into it. Like I would come home, sit down, and look up Dark Souls stuff, like watch videos, Epic Name Bro, I don't know what, just like all this stuff to just get more knowledge in terms of like the game.
No, exactly. I agree completely. If you want to move on, though, do you want to talk about other games now?
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
Um, so like after this love letter that we just did, I don't know. We
Okay.
now thought of maybe talking about other games that we thought or that we think did stuff really good, like in terms of their game design. So that's basically like what it's all about, what this video is all about. And then later on, think about or come up with some stuff that other games can do. So now let's first of all say or name some games that just like did stuff really well that we really appreciated to find in these games. So do you want to start with something or should I?
You go for it.
All right. So, um, for example, I think I mentioned it in my Layton video. Like, I'm a big fan of BioShock.
Mhm.
And have you played that before?
I, my God, yeah. The second one sucked, but I can't even describe to you how good that game was. The
Yeah.
overall plot, yeah, everything.
I'm glad you liked it. So, for example, the first thing that comes to my mind, like, with BioShock is, for example, just the beginning of it. Like, it's so, everything is so sudden. Like, you just sit in the plane, and then it's just like explosion, everything goes to shit. You are in the ocean, fire, like, you pretty much lost everything you have. And then, it immediately throws you into the game, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, you don't know shit. And like you have no other option but to go in that light tower then, and then you just stumble upon this like absurd world that you have not ever seen before. And that's like I was immediately in the game. And I think like comparing the beginning of a BioShock to like what most games do nowadays is really cool because like the game doesn't have like this, I don't know, like separate tutorial to teach you stuff. It just throws situations at you, and then you have to deal with them. Just like the way it is in Dark Souls, basically. So, for example, I don't know, like in the Call of Duty, you would always have this boot camp sequence where you have to like show these guys how to throw a grenade, and you have to use a knife, and then you run through some parkour shooting down like freaking
Targets.
yeah targets like. And with BioShock, it's just that it just teaches you all this stuff without ever like, I don't know, like how would you say that, just like putting a message on the screen saying, well, now you can do this and all that. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, like you come into this room and there's water on the floor and Atlas just tells you, hey man, try to use that bolt on the water, and then you just use it and it makes sense, and from that point on you just know what to do like in situations like that.
Thing I liked about BioShock was the character overall. Like you start out in the game and they literally reveal the ending to you subtly. If you look at his hands, there's shackles, there's chains tattooed onto this guy's hands, and you play through the entire game with no, not even a single thought about you being like being used, and then they just like flip it on you. You're like, holy fuck! Like this
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
and
But like
that's
you
like the
said,
moment that totally fucked my mind. Like from that, like up to this point, it was a good game. Like everything was fine, but that point, like totally just made this game so much or mean so much more to me because like it was playing around with me this entire time. I didn't know what was going on. I was just following basically commands, and then it's like, bum, like you can now you can go suck it. Like everything was just some feud.
it also gave you a sense of of wanting revenge. Like I, as a person, wanted to kill Atlas. As a person, I'm gonna fuck this guy up the moment I see him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but like you said about the mechanics on that, the thing I liked about it, like you said, little things are introduced to you, but you build it yourself. I remember I threw sticky grenades onto like a life preserver thing and telekinesis it into like a big daddy to kill it. And at that point, I'm like, whoa, like this game's awesome. Like,
It's just all these little things that you figure out yourself, and then it just makes like all these details. They just make it such a great experience because you're not just like introduced to it by some text on the screen, or maybe I don't know, like the game pauses and somebody just tells you how you can use certain stuff. It's just you that you have to figure it out,
Yeah.
and that's really cool. So maybe do you want to pick a different game now?
Yeah, I'll take it off. Platformers. I'm gonna discuss this. I
All
like
right.
Limbo. I like Limbo a lot.
So do I.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Did you beat it?
Yeah, I did.
I couldn't.
Really?
I gave up like a little bit more than two-thirds of the way, and it just the puzzles got really confusing. But that's why I liked it. It was confusing. It was dark, and like Dark Souls and like BioShock, nothing's handed to you. You wake up, like your two eyes pop open in the woods, and you're like, I'm in the woods, and then you start walking, and you kind of just figure things out on your own. And they even introduced like in the game, there's an enemy that's a spider, and its legs have the ability to pierce into you. And before you even see the spider, there's these like tribal kids that are the enemy in the game using a mock spider leg, and they're kind of demonstrating that if he lifts his leg up and drops it down, it can hurt you.
Yeah.
And then yeah, then comes the spider, and then it moves along. And I love that mechanic because it's not like feeding you like, oh, you need to press the attack button to attack and pulling you out of the game as a player,
Yeah.
but it still lets you learn. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I don't like games like Mario, like you mentioned earlier, but everything is kind of cookie cuttered in between games over generations, and this is something new. It's platforming like Mario does, minus a couple of other things, but it it's different, and that's surprising in this day and age.
Yeah, and like um Mario, the thing is, I really love the Super Mario 64. Like that game was really like my childhood basically. Like if I had to pick one game that would represent my childhood, it would have to be Mario 64. And like
Mhm.
with Galaxy 1 and 2 that came out, like those games got so much praise. Like people love it. They're like, "Oh my God, Super Mario Galaxy, it's like such a good game." And I really can't agree. Like I want to like it, but I really find it like awfully boring. And I think the main reason for that is in Mario Galaxy, it's just like you select a mission and it like immediately tells you what to do, and then you just like follow this path from A to B because like depending on the mission you chose, the level is set up in a way that you can just like go from A to B. So
Mhm.
it's just like the teleporters are placed in a way that you cannot go a different way. So and with Mario 64, like the thing is, it doesn't do that. It doesn't like just put you on this path that you just have to walk across. It's more of a like it throws you into a world, giving you like a slight hint at what you have to do in order to get the star, and then you have to just explore the world and figure it out yourself. And like with that hint in the back of your mind, you're going to figure it out, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what I have to do, instead of like having this completely clear task. You just instead have to figure it out, and I think that's really cool. That's why I like this Mario game more than like the Galaxies. I don't know, like they bored me.
Yeah, because everything's handed to you. The old one was experimentation, and yeah, the old one was experimentation, and like nowadays it's like, oh, do this because we're trying to appeal to 8-year-olds, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so like it just doesn't really. That's the problem with many games that come out today. Like it just doesn't really acknowledge you as a player. Like it doesn't really. The, it's just
Challenge.
designed in a way that it doesn't expect you to be smart at all. Like it just tells you what to do instead of having you figure it out, and then that just takes away so much from the game because you're not like really getting into the game by really thinking about what you're doing. You just like you run down tasks. It's just like I don't know. You get a list to go out grocery shopping, then you go buy your groceries, come back, and it's done. but instead of just having all this stuff that you have to figure out yourself.
Thrown in front of you. No, I agree with that. Let's see. Moving on. I Another game I think it would come to the forefront is I loved Fallout 3. I played it like religiously. Did you like it?
Yeah, like I played through it as well, and like all the DLC. I think except for one though.
I played them all. The DLCs were all right, but the main reason I liked it was because I mean it's kind of outlined like yo, you need to do this in the game, but it it was challenging. It was kind of a different feel. It was post-apocalyptic, which we've had, and they have like a zombie-like element to it as far as the ghouls are concerned. But the story gave you so much to do, and like the karma system and the bad things you can do didn't necessarily hurt you in the end because it's just like a 3 second video telling you, oh, you were a bad guy or oh, you were a good guy. But you can like nuke a town, which blew my mind. Like in one of my games, I see like like people from the town that survived walking around all irradiated and like torn up, and I don't think I've seen a game like that. Or I was playing one time, and my friend was playing as well, and I had a computer with internet, and he didn't. And he was talking to me on Xbox, and he's like, "I just hit a button, and the building just shook, and I heard like a rocket go off. What happened?" So I looked it up, and it was when you get like the best armor in the game. But there's in the one of the computers, there's a second function where you can send a random nuke to China randomly. So I'm like, dude, you just nuked China. So, that little things like that, just kind of like, whoa. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I think now that you just said all of that, like I just realized how, for example, like I got Skyrim I think for Christmas or something,
Mm.
and like I could never really get into the game all that much,
I
and
agree with you.
like I think the thing is like what it doesn't have like compared to Fallout, which I absolutely like played the shit out of. Um, like in Skyrim, I just felt like it was also like once again very linear.
Yeah,
Like you would get a task and you would just go somewhere, and there wasn't really anything else to check out. Like it wasn't really worth it. You didn't just feel like just going off. I don't know, like the usual path and just explore. Um,
I
and in Fallout, I think that really worked in that game. Like I would always be curious. Like you would see something and think, "Wow, really? What the hell is going on there?" And you would go and check it out and stumble upon some like huge side quest that would take like another 5 hours or something.
Did you ever go to Annandale in Fallout 3?
Like I don't know. Like to be honest, I don't remember it all that much. Like I couldn't just.
I think you would. It's a town, and everyone's really like overly nice to you. And if you go into a barn in the back of the town, you come across like killed people and like saws and like hacksaws and tools and stuff. And if you leave the barn, it's nighttime, and like the father's like, "Hey, what are you doing in there?" And what they're doing is they're killing everybody that comes into the town and eating them. They're cannibals.
Yeah,
So I was like,
I think I do remember actually.
that's like top five gaming moments that I remember. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, and like in general, the game doesn't really take itself that seriously, and I really like that because it also then like reaches this new or like next level of just like not just trying to convey some story. It's just like playing around with you and with the idea of like actually being a game instead of something I don't know like some movie or something.
Yeah, I agree to that.
And that's like really cool. Um, I don't know. Fallout has really been like probably one of my favorite RPGs. Like I guess you could also say like Dark Souls is an RPG, but it's sort of different like in many ways.
It's its own game.
Yeah. Um,
How'd you feel about New Vegas?
I actually never played that, and
Good.
and I don't really like I don't know if I should because I heard like all kinds of stuff about it, like being bad. Some said it was all right, and I don't know.
They tried too hard to be Fallout 3 and they took it in the wrong direction. Honestly, that let me down.
Like, what do you mean, like the wrong direction?
They went Hollywood. The start of the game's like a big cinematic. You get shot in the head, and then you kind of get thrown into a town, and then it didn't have the same feel. It didn't feel like I was that person being built in the beginning of Fallout 3, like talking to my dad, having these memories. It's just like, hey, you're this guy. Here's a gun. Here's the bad guy. Go kill the bad guy. There's a bigger bad guy. Go kill that bad guy. And and then once you beat it, there's two main story arcs, kind of like Skyrim did. One's had the ownership and rule of New Vegas, and the others whether or not what like military force wins, kind of like freaking Skyrim, but if you're skipping through the text in an RPG, like if I'm literally pressing the A button to skip through the text, like okay, I just want to kill guy, let me go kill guy. I don't care what you're saying, dude. That's a bad thing. Like, if I don't give a shit about what the story's about, that's a really bad thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. Um, let's see. So other games that did stuff right. Like I put down Half-Life. Did you did you ever play Half-Life?
Yeah, I liked Half-Life a lot. Not so much the episodes, but yeah.
Yeah, like I just played like Half-Life 2 recently,
Mm.
and still like Half-Life, what that game just did so right, like I mean besides the shooter mechanics that were just great, the physics and all that, the levels, Half-Life has such a mystery about it. Like nobody, like even until today nobody really knows what's going on, like the G-Man and all that.
Hmm.
And that's also something like I remember back when I played it, much like Dark Souls, I was really into this universe and like I wanted to find out more stuff, but there wasn't anything because they're still like keeping it a total secret. And like when a game gets that far that you just like think about it while like even while you're not playing it, like you just know they did a good job
Yeah, I can agree to that.
because they created a world that's somewhat believable while still like totally like unreal. Um, and you're just so into it. I just love that. Like, and that's this thing with Dark Souls and Bioshock and all that. They just make you believe the world, and it's not just some stupid ass, I don't know, like military operation. You just don't have to like go kill some dude. It's more where you just have to think about and get into. And I think, like having that said, we can now go to what games can do. Like what other game, or do you have anything you want to add? Like another game?
Not game, but a point. And this kind of goes off of Fallout into other things. I love games that come out with originality. Like some notable ones were like Fallout 3, but Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time did it right in a completely different way. It took Link into like a 3D realm and it threw a story at people and it was very immersive and it wasn't like in your face. So like there's three jewels, you need to find them and something's gonna happen. Kind of like the Bells of Awakening if you want.
Yeah,
And then there's Resident Evil 4, which completely revamped the story and cut out all the bullshit. Because as good as the older Resident Evil games were, they were still chock full of fucking bullshit. Like, it made no sense half the time. Like, why are there ladders and secret doors inside of a police HQ that's on top of the bad part of the game? Like, regardless, makes no sense. Call of Duty 4, it had the campaign that really drew you in, plus that multiplayer, that revamped multiplayer all around. And the reason I'm kind of throwing these out rapid fire is because as good as they were, they got watered down because they remade everything. Like I have four different versions of Resident Evil 4. I have three different versions of Legend of Zelda that I own. And like Call of Duty 4 went to like the Wii and it's on cell phones. So I think the biggest thing, and it's a good lead into the next point. The biggest thing that the creators of games are doing wrong is that they're creating such a good mixture of things. They're creating like the perfect recipe. Say they're cooking food. They make the best dish on the planet, and then they're freezing it, packaging it, and mass producing it, and sending it out to the public. And eventually, people are gonna be like, you know what? I'm fucking tired of filet mignon. Like it gets so old because it's the same kind of like cookie cutter product over and over and over.
yeah, that's true. Like what games are there? Like just these games that really came out of nowhere, and then they just like thought, oh man, that went really well. Now let's just make some kind of freaking like sequel to it that doesn't really make any sense. So, for example, like I also mentioned that in my Layton video with Assassin's Creed.
Hmm.
Like after Assassin's Creed 2, which I really liked. Like it was alright.
Uh,
Like the freaking Brotherhood and Revelations.
hmm.
Like I wasn't even interested in playing that because I knew it was just like the same crap over again just to get some money out of that. Like, and now I don't really know what to do. Like because I want to play Assassin's Creed 3, but I like haven't experienced the story of Brotherhood and Revelations, and that really sucks. Like they should just focus on making a really good like sequel that makes sense instead of just like producing Assassin's Creed 2.5 or something.
Yeah, I agree to that. Just drawing out for more money.
And I think you mentioned in that one video of yours that you never played Demon Souls.
Hmm.
Um, like I have a PS3 and I just like recently bought it like after playing Dark Souls.
Hmm.
And like when you play that game, you can just see how much they improved. Like Demon Souls is a freaking great game. Like it's difficult as fuck, but like they really improved on everything. Like the whole world being like one entire like continuous world and not separate levels and all that. And that
Hmm.
sequel really made sense. But still, it's not like just some kind of add-on like you might consider like Modern Warfare 3, like to Modern Warfare 2.
Hmm.
It's more of a unique game. Like,
Spiritual successor. That's what they refer to it as, at least.
yeah, exactly, something like that. Like it completely stands on its own, but it's also similar. I don't know how to say that actually. Like, and I think that's a really
In
good
spirit,
way of
in
doing
spirit, yeah.
it.
I agree to that. Absolutely. Let's see.
So, do we have anything else?
We can talk about where gaming should go.
Yeah, exactly. We
Let's
can do
move to
that.
that.
And let's see. Like the first thing that I wrote down was acknowledge the gamer, which is something I mentioned before, but still I can say something to that. I think. Um, and this is just like really the developers shouldn't like create games for I don't know like such a broad audience because now they're just trying to get some kind of middle ground between core and casual. And like when I play games and it's just like explaining all this crap to me, like I'm like, man, I don't want to know that. Like I don't want to have you telling me that right now. Like I want to find out myself and just like get into this game and not really have you explain everything about the game. Not have you explain why your game is good. Like I want to find out myself. And I think that's something Dark Souls did and a few games did, and like especially like retro games on the SNES or something did. Like you had to learn the rules of this world that we were put in, and you did not have somebody just explain this whole thing to you. It's like when you like sat down as a kid and to play Monopoly. Like I don't know, like where was I going? That doesn't make any sense. Or a card game that makes sense. Like you need to pretty much have some actual person like telling you all the mysteries of that, and that's also what like the Dark Souls community is doing. Just like this united effort of like finding out more about the game.
Yeah, bettering the player experience.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
like that way you get better in all your information. You don't have like stuff written on the cards. Like you can play that when this and this goes on.
Have you seen the video on Mega Man X from Ego Raptor on YouTube yet?
Yeah, I did actually. Like, is it the sequelitis one?
Yeah, yeah, where he basically discusses like he's like, holy shit, I can move to the left, I got to go to the right, and then he figures out how to do everything himself, and that's kind of what he discusses. I think that's exactly what we're getting into, though. It's
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
Just like he just really goes into detail how the world is designed in a way that you have to learn all the stuff yourself. And like,
Hmm.
I guess we're gonna put some link to that video right
Yeah, let's
here.
annotate
So
that.
because you need to watch it, like he gets his point across so well, and like I can't do anything else but agree with him.
Same here. I, I think, and this is kind of surprising because I was thinking about this as well while I was taking notes for this. The makers of games have been kind of taking gameplay in like a cookie cutter, like hand you kind of direction. But if you look at like successful games, Dark Souls isn't in any way really like whoa successful because it's only for hardcore players, and I don't think like my mom that plays Wii is going to come downstairs and go after the Asylum Demon. But look at other games like Portal. Portal came out kind of like as a demo for like what they could do with their engine or whatever. And then when Portal 2 came out, it blew up. Like it got rated like number one game ever. A shitload of people liked it, but they didn't hand anything to you. They're like, this is Room, this is gun. Figure out how to work Room, and then we're going to move on to harder difficulties as you go along in the rooms, and you'll figure out how things work, and you'll come with your own conclusions.
Hmm.
And like Dark Souls, it got its own user base behind it. Like you go online, you can look up tutorials and things on how to get past it if you get stuck. But it's surprising that with like a not handed to you kind of gaming element, it was still successful, and it should kind of be like a wake up call to game makers that it's possible. People aren't fucking retarded. They know how to work a controller. They can figure things out themselves. You can let go of their hand. And this is kind of just them saying, it was successful. Do it, guys. So I think that's the biggest thing that gaming needs to change. Simplicity and handing things over to the players is like the next step.
Yeah, like actually today I was watching like there's a new show on GameTrailers.com. I think like it's something like Angry Gamer, and like people just send him like messages, and he just replies to them by saying like what he thinks about that.
Hmm.
And in that show, like they were discussing how now developers like what's his name, Peter Molyneux or whatever his
Oh,
name
Peter
is.
Molyneux, the liar, that guy.
Yeah,
Mm.
like how he always like sits there and says like people like we can't have this controller anymore. Like controlling a game needs to be or more innovating than just like having this controller. People can't handle a controller, and like they want to come up with something new that allows players to control games more easily. And I think that's so stupid because like I just want to play games with a controller. Like I have problems sometimes playing stuff on the Wii. Like for example, the GoldenEye Reloaded that came out.
Hmm.
Like I just feel pissed playing it because I don't really like the controls.
I sold it like week of. I can't deal with this.
Yeah, and they shouldn't just like put all this money into Kinect and PlayStation Move, which like they don't really make use of. Like there's not one game for Kinect that I want because they just produce this like I don't know like these pretty much demos that just show off how the Kinect works, and it doesn't really add to the game. It's just some game to show off the Kinect with.
Did you see Steel Battalion? Have you read about that?
Oh yeah, how they like got rid
It
of
was
the like giant controller, and now you have to control everything with Kinect, and it doesn't work.
yeah, that's the perfect example. Why are they wasting money and time on technology that's literally just gonna piss people off? Like,
Yeah,
makes no sense.
and the thing is, what I really don't get, it's like it was made by From Software, the guys that make Dark Souls.
Wait, Steel Battalion was?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, seriously, and I don't get it. Like they did Dark Souls so well, like they pretty much did everything right, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
Steel Battalion is supposed to be like the worst game to come out this year. Like I don't get it.
Well, they were I actually I do believe it because they do Armored Core, and that I love. That's what got me into From originally.
Yeah, like I just until
That's
this
mind
point,
blowing,
I
man.
really haven't figured it out. But maybe it's a different kind of like development team. I don't know.
If they're gonna say that, probably.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is them, those guys. I don't know.
Well, maybe next game is like, I don't know, Connect Souls, and now you have to control everything with Connect.
Oh,
And you just like have to put your left arm up like the entire time because you just want to block everything.
just throw my window out of my second story. My throw my Xbox out of my second story window if I ever get that. I can't deal with this.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the general point of this is just like, don't try to just force this like motion control on a game. Like, to me, it's not fun. I just want to like have a game amaze me by, I don't know, its story, its world, its difficulty even. Um, Instead of like having these controls, they just bug me. I really don't like them, and that's also what they say in the Angry Gamer episode.
Well, he's right. That's worst thing to come out. And I think the Wii's the reason. They had to oversimplify it so grandma could play tennis.
Yeah, like I don't know what's up with Nintendo. Like, um, when the Wii came out, I was so excited for it. Like I bought it immediately, pretty much,
Hmm.
just then to play the new Zelda and all that. And like I played the first party games that came out like during the first, I don't know, half year or something.
Hmm.
And then like I did not touch my Wii. Like the only time I touch my Wii now is either to like let my mom do her Wii Fit stuff
Hmm.
or play GameCube games on it.
Yeah, I do Smash Bros, but I use a controller, not a
Yeah.
remote.
And like even with Golden Eye, like I tried the whole Wiimote thing and then just like threw that away, took out my classic controller, played that way because it's so
Exactly.
more convenient. I don't know.
That makes sense. Let's see. Let's move on. What do you think the game developers could do besides, burning every motion controller on the planet? What do you think they could what do you think they could do as far as creating a better game?
Well, also something that I also like got to in my Layton video is just like just trying more, trying to really create a new experience instead of like doing the, I don't know, like 2000s, at least that's what it seems like, military shooter.
With
Like,
chest high walls.
yeah, like I don't know, Call of Duty was successful and then they like somewhat revamped the battlefield to then like have some kind of, I don't know, like competition. And then they
Mm.
also like, because that didn't really like Call of Duty was still successful and Battlefield was as well, but it didn't really like get rid of Call of Duty. They then like started this whole new Medal of Honor, which is just the same thing. Like it's a mix of the two games and it doesn't make sense. Like why always produce the same games over and over again? And like they don't add anything new. It's just really the same experience every time you play. And I think we just need to see new experience. And like some might argue that we've already seen everything, but I think that's bullshit. Like you cannot come up with so crazy stuff. Like even like when you watch the BioShock Infinite trailer, you're like, man, wow, really? Like how did somebody come up with this setting? Like it's awesome. I want to be
Yeah.
there. And like see like that's also something I really connected to when I watched your video. Like you mentioned how you used to be super into Call of Duty and like you
Hmm.
would do Clan Wars and all that. Um, like so was I. I was really like, I think Call of Duty 5 was like my prime time for playing Call of Duty because I was in a clan. I was doing clan matches and I was like playing it a couple of hours a day. But like as the other Call of Duties came out, I got so bored of it. Like I don't think I have touched Modern Warfare 3 since pretty much December.
Same here, actually.
Because I really cannot enjoy it. I think it's so annoying. It's so boring.
Well, they sucked the soul out of the game. The only thing that they did right in the new ones is the new playlist types like Infection. But like, the thing I liked about four is everything was very set, very simple, and people got it. Like throwing a flash grenade in the right direction of a person will flash them. But now there's this stupid thing you could put down that stops grenades from working, or different kill streaks, and like I just it sucked the soul out of the game. They made it into this like insanely customizable thing, and now that the entire thing's been invaded by children.
Yeah, and like for me, it's all about competition. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't like I really fucking I hate kill streaks. Like
I
they
do too.
just ruin the game for me. Like when I play Call of Duty, I want it to be about like me one on one versus a guy. Like, and if I'm the better player, I want to win that gunfight and then move on. I just want to like have really competitive gunfights and not like call in some chopper that just mows down rows of enemies. Like that just really destroyed the whole thing for me. Because back in Call of Duty 4, it was okay. Like you get 3 kills, that's a freaking UAV. That's cool. And airstrike, all right, that works. Like it doesn't really do all that much. And even the chopper, you could just take down in an instant, basically.
Yeah,
And now they got all this stuff, like all these drones and
dogs.
reapers and dogs, and I don't know, like that just really destroyed the whole thing for me. And like I always was this search and destroy player.
Me too. Hardcore search.
Yeah, exactly. Like I fucking loved how you would always like you'd have to be so careful with everything you
Hmm.
do, and when you die, you're dead, and that's it. You had your chance, you blew it. And like that's why I love the game type, because it's not just something you can just play. I don't know, it's not just like elevator music, something in the background you can just like deal with it, no problem.
Hmm.
But it's something you have to like pay attention to, and that's why I like search and destroy. And I think in terms of what games can do is, for me personally, I don't know if that really applies to the general market, but games just need to be more challenging like. And I like right now they're going in the complete opposite direction. I don't know.
Like, going off of that, I that's exactly what needs to happen. Like, I have a note written down here that search and destroy was kind of like the first step. And I was reading an article on IGN, I think it was last week, that they said that deaths should mean more. That's the thing. Like I have like 10,000 deaths racked up on Call of Duty 4 from all the years I've had it, and not a single fuck was given. Like I die next, whatever. But like Dark Souls and Dark Souls, we use the example because it's better. But when you die and you're carrying like 500,000 souls, like you're moving 2 inches a second, you like kill everything, shield up, ready to go. You aren't even going to try to parry. Your head's based on I need to get to those souls. I'm not dying. I'm not dying. I'm not dying. And even like Call of Duty and all them, search and destroy deaths eventually became meaningless in my head because if I'm running out and all of a sudden you hear enemy Reaper been called in on like round 3. You're like, fuck, like I gotta stay inside of a building for 3 minutes. But the death doesn't matter. You die next round. Something needs to be lost, or a mechanic needs to be thrown in to make the gameplay matter instead of just like multiplayer.
Yeah, and I think that like that's what really makes you a better player then. Like I don't know, like I feel like now when you play Call of Duty, like all these players that just started playing Call of Duty, they
Hmm.
don't really like have any progress. Like they don't really get better with all the stuff they can use. Like I think I'm just that good at Call of Duty, and I really like used to be pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, because I had this pure experience, not just kill streaks and clusterfuck, and I don't know. It was just like about handling your weapon, and that's also like what Dark Souls does, and that's also why it doesn't really frustrate me at all, because every time you die, you get better, and then you might have to go back, sure, but you're better. You know how to deal with the situation, and that just like at the end of the game, when you've dealt with all the dickish situation the game throws at you, you have like succeeded. You have really reached something. That's an achievement, and you're not just like standing on the same spot for I don't know how many hours you put into Call of Duty.
Just a really nice looking prestige sign. Woo.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than that, The last note I really have written down is there also needs to be some sort of punishment to players playing either unfairly or just to make the game a little bit more balanced. Like gankers in Dark Souls, people that kind of like summon, they'll wait in an area like the forest, and they'll wait for you to pop up, and they'll kick your shit apart, just fuck you up. You have the indictment system, which isn't that awesome, but it's a step in the right direction. So I think like there has to be some sort of punishment to like the player killing the other player or acting out on the other player in an unfair manner gets for that second. Kind of like in BioShock when you can take a little sister and rip her apart and get a lot of Adam, or you let her live and you get a little bit of Adam, but you get a present later on
Yeah.
by being good. If you make the bad decisions, it'll help you out in that moment, but there's kind of like that overwhelming like bad karma on you. And so I thought up at least, I don't know how it would work in a shooter setting, but like in an RPG online setting, if you have a high karma by doing bad things and people get pissed off at you and eventually come after you, when you do die, you take a huge toll. Like you're spawned, like say you have to go back to your body to get all your shit back, you're spawned like a 30-minute walk away and you have to wait 10 minutes to actually spawn. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and something really odd just crossed my mind. Like, did you play Dirt?
The driving game?
Yeah,
I didn't actually.
because in Dirt 2, there's actually like this sign. Like when you play online, there's this icon next to you, and if you just like drive like an idiot, you just like crash into other people and do all this like dickish stuff. It puts like a red icon next to you saying that you are a douchebag, pretty much.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and that just really bugged me. Like I used to be not really good and just like by accident just crash into people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this like red icon next to me, and it really bugged me. Like I wanted to get rid of it, so that from that point on, I just drove in like a nice way, and it turned into green, and I was happy. And from that point on, I did that. I don't know, like
That's a really good element. Yeah.
it might not be that easy to implement in other games, but something along those lines. So that really made me play the game in a different way. Like, and it's such a simple thing. I don't know.
No, I like that a lot. Do you have anything else?
Not written down, but I don't know. Maybe we could summarize what we have so far. So first of all, well, I at least mentioned acknowledging the player, then increasing some or difficulty. What else did we say?
Stick to originality.
Yeah, and like
Give player the control back.
yeah, exactly. Like those are some points that would really just add to gaming experience. Because like I used to play so much, and now I don't really play all that much anymore. And that's just because I'm bored of all these games. Like there's so many nights where I just sit down and I just want to play. But then I look at my games and I'm like, oh no, that's boring. Oh no, not Call of Duty. And then like, what's that? Oh no, that's boring as well. And oh, a shitty game. Like I just can't decide what to play. Just because everything just like nowadays stuff just bores me. I don't know. Like we need some new fresh air, something more like Dark Souls, because like
Yeah.
it's been a really good while that like a game impressed me that much. And then like I bought Dark Souls and I was really like, man, wow, this game is different. Like it's really doing something to me. Like it's not just me sitting down playing a game, stopping, and then that's it. It's more of an experience, and I will always remember playing Dark Souls because you always have these stories about how that guy raped you, how you got killed by that dude, and it's just so much more fun than all this cookie cutter stuff.
I agree. It's more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Best moment in Dark Souls. What's yours?
Let's see.
While you think of it, I'll give you mine so we
Yeah.
can spare time. Right after I beat Gwyn, right after my first playthrough ever, it was 67 hours it took me to do my first playthrough. I remember showing up in the Undead Asylum for New Game Plus, and I had learned a little bit about New Game Plus, but I didn't like to spoil it, so I'm like, oh, whatever. And I'm like looking through all my shit, like, oh, I got everything, awesome, awesome, awesome. And then I get up to the doors to go into where the Asylum demon is for the first round of it, and in my head I'm like, oh fuck. So I open the doors, he drops dead. I'm like, all right, round two, bitch, and I fucked them up in like 2 hits.
Yeah.
Best moment. Yeah.
And to me, I think it would just be like carrying a million of something souls, freaking like 20 humanities, and then I'm in like the what's it called, Tomb of the Giants,
Hmm.
and like I think it was New Game Plus, so I didn't have my Do you carry over the lantern?
Uh, yeah, you do.
You do, because then it can't be New Game Plus. Because I
Bottom
remember not.
bottomless box, maybe.
Yeah, because I remember not having that, and like
Hmm.
I was like pissed, like man, I can't see shit, and like, and then like I got invaded and I had to fight against somebody, um, in the dark, carrying that many souls, and like all the all the monsters around me were still alive.
Hmm.
So it's just like from one moment to the other, like everything turned to shit. Like I just got so fucked in the ass. Like everything just started attacking me because like I was trying to evade him and then I aggroed like 5 enemies and it was just a matter of seconds and I lost everything. And that was so cool. Like I had to laugh. Like I actually had to laugh because it was so funny. And that's probably like the best moment because I mean it wasn't really a success or anything.
Oh.
But just from a like my standpoint as a gamer, that was really funny because
Yeah,
just a game turned around in a matter of seconds and just fucked me in the ass, and
it's like a gaming.
I was completely fine with that.
It's like a gaming Murphy's Law. Everything that can go bad will.
Yeah.
It's terrible. All right, man.
So I think this is probably a good point to end the video at. I mean, we did discuss a lot, and if you out there are still watching, I want to thank you so far because this has been a long video, man. Like, jeez.
Hey, it was good talk though.
It was. And, well, I guess I want to thank you for doing that whole thing with me. It was kind of like a sudden decision of me. Like, I think you subscribed to me, then I checked out your videos and I really liked them. So I was like,
Hmm.
hey, man, that dude shares some of my, like, opinion. And
Hmm.
so we started doing this, and I think it turned out pretty well. So thanks to you, thanks to the viewers out there who are still watching, and maybe we
Thanks
can
for.
do something like that in the future. Who knows?
Let's do it for the DLC.
Yeah, we could. Like we
Yeah.
beat it, and then we just discuss and go go at it once again.
Yeah. Because we love you, Dark Souls.
We love you. Kiss.
Yeah. Well, all right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, Moshed. I'm Twin Humanities. Please subscribe, like anything on my channel, guys. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, like links and all that, annotations on the screen, in the description. Who knows? Yeah. All right, that was our discussion about game design and all connected to Dark Souls. So what Dark Souls did right, what other games did right, and what games in the future can do to be a better game, basically. All right, until then, peace.
Bye, guys.